Live on WFLA Now. This is Run for Fun with running enthusiast Leigh Spann.
All right, let's go. Happy 4th of July, everybody. I'm meteorologist Leigh Spann here in the WFLA Stream Center for a very special episode of Run for Fun. Of course, the show is generally designed to give you some tips and tricks to make running a little more enjoyable so it can be a part of your daily life without feeling like something that you have to do or that you dread to do. Again, it adds to your life. Well, being as this is the 4th of July, we're going a little bit of a different way. Coach Maria and I are going to talk about our favorite patriotic moments in running history. So, Coach Maria, welcome to July 4th edition of Run for Fun.
Oh, it's so exciting. I don't even know. It was hard for me to pick just one because there's just so many that are exciting.
There are. I mean, you know, anytime you talk about the Olympics and you see someone grab the American flag and put it behind them, you know, whether they've run the 100 meter or whether they've run the marathon, it's still it's beautiful to see. And there's a lot of patriotic feelings happening today. So we just kind of wanted to do a one-off about rather than what to tell other people to do. It's just kind of like, well, what brings us joy. So I'm going to let you go.
Love it.
I'm going to let you go first, Maria, and about your favorite moment in most patriotic moment.
It's funny. It's my most patriotic moment, but I was only 4 when it happened.
Well, right. I was actually
I
about
don't really
that same
remember,
age.
but I've Joan, Benoit, Samuelson. Everybody that knows me knows that I just love her, and I even have a little bobblehead of her that my husband bought for me that like sits by my bed and just it bobbles, and I love it. But it's just she's just an amazing woman, and she was the first female Olympic marathon winner, and it was in 1984. And also it was the first year women were able to participate in the marathon, and so it's just like amazing for women's rights, and she's such a strong woman, and I can't say enough about her. And she also lives in Freeport, Maine, which is where I lived for a while and where my husband grew up. So I've seen her many times, and I fangirl so badly over her. Every time I run into her, I like can't talk correctly. It's a very, very embarrassing.
Well, and when you say run into her, you can literally run into her. This lady is still out there killing it in some of these races. I mean, winning her age group because, I mean, obviously she used to be a professional runner, but she is very, very good. Yeah.
And we talk about, how we talk about form. In fact, we talked about form last week, and we talked about how form is like a fingerprint, and she has a very different type of form and very distinguishable. So like when I'm running in Freeport in the summer, I can see her coming from a mile away. I'm like, oh, that's Joni. And then I start freaking out. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Should I say anything? Should I just run by her? Like, it's just, there's been so many times. And normally I just smile and wave, but she has a very distinct form. You just can't miss it.
Well, and I see this, the picture is, she's the lady standing right next to you, and she's very tiny. And well, that's one of the things you're going to notice about these professional marathoners is they're just so tiny. They don't have to carry a lot of, that's a lot of, for 26 miles, you want to be as kind of little as possible often helps. But where was this? When did you meet her here?
That was Gasparilla dinner in 2017. And that's with that picture is with the girl that I started running with, my friend Alex. She started me running. She was a high school friend of mine. And my husband, and actually, funny story, Alex, who's standing next to Joan, and my husband used to date in high school.
I did not know this.
Isn't that so funny? So we're all in one picture, one big happy family, right?
With Joni. And so I kind of read a few things about her marathon and how there was another lady who was, they were kind of battling out for who just generally was a very good, who was going to win this. And she just blew her away.
Yeah, she came from behind.
Yeah.
Joni is known from coming from behind, starting in the back of the pack and winning in the last mile. She's known for that. She's a phenomenal athlete. She cross trains a ton, which has kept her I mean, she cross country skis a lot, um, especially in the winter in Maine. And I think that's contributed to her longevity, that she can still run really, really
Really
well.
well.
And she also, in that Olympic marathon, she had just had knee surgery. And so she was not slotted to win. People did not think she was going to do it. And she just kind of, came back from that and was like, no, I'm just going to lay this down right now.
Well, and I think one of the things, I think it was her that was saying that she didn't want to turn around necessarily to look, but that
Yeah.
something about she kept looking up to see where the helicopter was, because if they
Yeah.
were to kind of keep an eye, like if the helicopter keeps having to go back to like to see the other person, then
Yeah.
they're kind of far behind. But it wasn't until, because again, this was the one in LA.
Yeah.
The Olympics in America, that she got into the arena and saw how far ahead that she was, and again, not expected to do so. But going back to
Yeah,
the
she's known for running her own race.
yeah,
Like, I mean, she's just, and actually, when you turn and look behind you, you're wasting energy. She
yep,
wasn't about to do that too. So she's just been a smart runner. She still runs. Like, I know if you talk to Joan, she likes to tell stories, and every run to her is a story. And so that's how she keeps going, and why she's still so successful at such an older age in this capacity. I know a few years ago she was trying to break the record for the 3-hour marathon, the oldest woman to run a sub 3 marathon. And I mean, she's incredible. She just keeps telling those stories and keeps getting out there, and she's an inspiration to all of us, really.
she really is. And we can be frustrated that they didn't think women could run a marathon. It wasn't in the Olympics until 1984. But we're glad that she was there. We're glad that she was able to, bring it home to America
Yeah,
on
she
that
did it
day.
for us.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
now,
she really did.
and
She
now.
made it available to all of us. I think that's the most amazing part about it. It was a great American moment. It was a great female moment. And tell me about yours, Leigh.
All right, so let's see if I can. There we go. So mine. Oh, there's me and Meb. So if you don't know who Meb is, he's a refugee, and he came over to America. Couldn't speak any English, but his parents just wanted him to do well in school. And so again, couldn't speak English very well, but he was able to understand that the PE teacher said, "Okay, if you run this mile in a certain time, you'll get an A." And he said, "Well, I really wanted that A," and he ran so fast that the PE teacher told him, "You're going to be in the Olympics." And he
I hadn't
said,
heard that story.
"I don't know what the Olympics." I mean, in his head, he was like, "I don't know what the Olympics were." He'd grown up, I mean, without a television. He didn't grow up with electricity. Sometimes on a dirt ground, and so he was like, "Okay, like whatever that means." And then, sure enough, I mean, he went to he a silver medalist in the Olympics, but the one that kind of brings him tugs at the heartstrings of Americans is because again he became an American, ran for
Yeah.
America, and we all know how terrible the Boston Marathon bombing was, and he was there spectating and promised everyone there he was going to come back and win it the next year, and he did, and he was the first American winner in 31 years. So he was,
Yeah, that was an incredible moment. Oh, it was so incredible.
I know, because it was, I mean, the swell of pride of America, even after, in the days right after the bombing, and then, to have it all kind of come full circle the next year, and he still runs and is supporting of the families of the people who did die in the bombing, and he's just a real American hero and a real American story of what can happen when you come here and you give everything to something and to a cause.
It's also such a testament to taking a bad situation and turning it around and making it a good situation. Like there's in any aspect of our life, we can take a bad situation and use it as motivation to fuel us in the future. And he did that. I mean, it's really incredible what he did.
And he is continuing to do it. He has a charity that he runs called, I believe it's Run with Meb, and it's to bring the sport of running and distance running specifically to kids, because he's like, without it, like, he's like, where would I don't even know where I would be. He's like, but it was brought to me at a young age and I was able to, to do all these wonderful things. And so he cares very deeply about bringing this sport to young kids. And he's very active in all the places that he lives. But we just happened to be lucky enough to have him a couple of years ago move to Tampa. So just like you were saying with Joni and the interesting form that you could see her just running down the street, Meb is the same. Obviously, he's a smaller person, and because that's me kind of crouching down in the picture. But he has a very interesting form, I think. And so he's out there running on Bayshore Boulevard just like hundreds of other people do every day. And all of a sudden I'll just drive by and go, well, there's an Olympic marathoner right there. There's the Boston Marathon winner. There's the New York City Marathon winner just running down the street.
And he's so nice. I can't tell you how many of my runners have run into him on Bayshore, and he'll turn around and run with them for a little bit and talk to them. Like, he is genuinely just a nice person, and he cares. Like, it's always fun in Gasparilla when he's out there on the course and he's like slapping people high fives, and when you're feeling lousy and you're like, oh my gosh, Meb's right there in the course. Just it's nice to have him in our community. He's done so much for our community.
Yes. And so and Maria, you said it. I mean, there's a ton of patriotic moments. I mean, in all sports and all, but these probably a little more special to us for various reasons. I mean, we both actually, we've met these folks. We live in similar towns, and Meb actually lives in our town. But to see what both these individuals did for the sport, for America, we just kind of wanted to give them a special shout out on this July 4th.
I met him one time at a Gasparilla dinner. I think it might have been the same one. And I really struggle with these runners. I can't say things that it's very terrible. But I asked him to sign the back of my t-shirt. It was a fighter t-shirt. So I had the fighter t-shirt on. I still have the shirt. I haven't washed it.
I haven't washed it.
But I was like, what do I say to him? What do I say to him? And then I always like tend to tell really bad jokes, but I was like, can you write a training plan on the back of my shirt, please? And he was like, okay.
Well, for those,
it was a little embarrassing, but
no, I'm sure people say interesting things to him a lot, because I know that he is in our world. I mean, a real celebrity. Joni is too. I mean, when you run up to these people who, they're big people. They have big personalities in our world, and then you just don't know what to say. The first thing,
you think about a lot. What would I say if I run into them? And then you run into them, and you're like, it's very embarrassing.
But it just proves how much they mean to us. And I know that July 4th means a lot to you, Maria. So that is going to be our coach's drill. Normally, Maria has some sort of topic that she has strong feelings on. And I've known one of the very first things I think I ever learned about you, Maria, was that July 4th was your favorite holiday. So in today's coach's drill, you get to tell us for 1 minute why Independence Day is your favorite.
Oh, so many reasons why Independence Day is my favorite. But obviously, I love America. I love where we live. I love our country. That's obvious. But also the reason I love it is because we're always with family. There's always a race. We usually have lobsters and clams, those are my favorite things to eat. And there's no pressure. Like with Christmas, there's always so much pressure on who you have to be with, where you have to be, all the gifts you have to buy and wrap, and it feels like so much pressure, and it's become so materialistic. And 4th of July isn't like that for me. It just isn't like that. There's no pressure. We get to go have a fun day with all the people we love the most. And it's usually a nice day because usually we're in Maine and it's not hot. And there's a parade, and also there's fireworks, which is also my favorite. So, I mean, it's pretty much all my favorite things wrapped up in one day. That's basically
family, fireworks, friends, and running.
Yeah. And it's funny. Like there's been so many times when I think about this, and I wasn't intending to do this, but when you have family and then you have in-laws and then you have kids and then everybody's like fighting over who goes where for holidays, I feel like I'm not going to have to deal with that. I'm like, you guys can have Thanksgiving and Christmas with your other families, but just leave 4th of July for me.
And that, because I know this because you you make a real point, because that that July 4th is so special to you that you try to do very little on that day that's not exactly what you want to do, whatever it is you want to do with your family, with the, so thanks for joining us on this Independence Day, on your favorite holiday, and sharing.
And everybody have a great Independence Day.
Yeah, and just thanks for, sharing your patriotic moments, and I'm glad that I got to talk a little bit about our buddy Meb too.
Yeah, go Joni, go Meb.
Yes. All right. Have a safe and happy 4th of July, everybody.
Hey, you too, Leigh.
All right. Bye.